What's up, everyone? So we're gonna do another video on this Amber Heard and Johnny Depp nonsense. 'Cause that's exactly what this is, nonsense. But there's been quite a bit of development since my last video last week, and I tried to do a video the other day, but I didn't like the quality of it, so I just trashed it. So with that being said, we're just gonna do this video. And I'm sorry for those that have tuned into my channel for quite a while. I know I haven't done any of my typical episodes, but I had to reorder some equipment because some of my equipment kind of failed on me, so I had to replace it. So I'm hoping to be able to do it, start it back with my episodes this coming weekend, so stay tuned for all that. But to get back into this Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff, my last video was talking about how Warner Brothers was considering removing Amber Heard from Aquaman 2. It was something that was being pitched around as an idea, but it's not going to happen because Warner Brothers has decided to make the statement that they do not care about social media. They don't care about what's on social media. They don't care about the consumers, which is basically what they're saying when they say that, you know, they don't care about social media. And that came from an insider in Warner Brothers that is close to the situation. Sorry. And not only that, but, one, they also say that the petitions are unlikely to change anything, which is not very, it's not very surprising. I mean, one thing you have to know about these petitions is it's not always, you're not always guaranteed a reaction from these petitions. All these petitions are good for just to show people what we want as the public, what we are going to support, what we're not going to support. In this matter, there's like 370 something signatures on the petition against Amber Heard continuing in Aquaman 2. There's a new petition out saying that they should replace Amber Heard with Emilia Clarke. Oh, Mrs. Khaleesi, a little Targaryen, little blonde-headed queen. Yeah, that would look nice. Sorry. So, Warner Brothers said that they're not going to, it's doubtful that they do anything. And then also, L'Oreal has stated that they are awfully fond of her. And they also said that they kind of man her social media. So it kind of raises another question. Was she the one that was restricting comments? Is she the one that's kind of disabled comments from her Instagram? Or was it L'Oreal? Kind of brings up additional questions. But a few days ago, there have been some text messages that were leaked from Johnny Depp to Mr. Paul Bettany. And those that don't know Mr. Paul Bettany, he played Vision in the Marvel movies. And a great guy, great actor. I love his work. But basically said, let's drown her before we burn her, and I will screw her lifeless corpse. And it was some pretty.
It's 10 o'clock.
Thank you, Siri. It's 10 o'clock for anyone that needed to know or wanted to know. It's 10 o'clock p.m. But there's some pretty crazy stuff that he messaged to Paul. But when you really look at it, when you think about it, there were over 70,000 text messages that was spilt to the media. And not really the media, but Johnny Depp's former attorneys kind of accidentally spilled it. And out of all of those text messages, out of all the 70,000 messages, that's the best one that they could come up with. And when you really look at it, Johnny Depp is supposed to be the abused. Anyone that has suffered from abuse at the hands of a loved one are going to have some level of venting to their friends. Probably something similar to what Johnny Depp has said about Amber Heard. Maybe not as graphic, maybe more graphic. But at the end of the day, so far, everything that we've seen, he hasn't acted on anything. So at this point, the only thing that this is just talk. It's just venting out frustrations. Maybe he was angry, about an argument that they got into. Maybe she hit him through some. Who knows what happened between the two of them? But maybe something happened between the two of them. Maybe they got in some big old argument. They got into some big old fight. And as the stories tend to be, she's fighting with him, and he's just trying to leave. And I was watching an episode, not an episode. I was watching an interview with him about this new movie he has, Miamata, with he's Eugene Smith. The way he is conducting the interview, and not really conducting, but the way he's answering questions, he's very meticulous, and he's very careful about the words that he chooses to use. Okay, so people have said that, okay, well, maybe he's just being careful for when he's when he knows he's being recorded, or when he's on camera, or whatever the case is. But the audio tapes that were released from Amber Heard, he wasn't trying to be careful about what he said. If he knew he was being recorded to the point where it would be used against him in this situation, in this circumstance, if he was the abuser, I feel like he would kind of be more careful on the words that he uses. He would be real careful on how he phrases things, much like he is in the interviews. But I was just watching the interview today, and it just struck me. It's like, this is a guy that actually pays attention, and it takes a moment to understand what he wants to say, how he wants to say it, what words he wants to use whenever he speaks to the public. And it's really not just this interview that I'm talking about. It's it's almost any other interview that you find, in almost any other interaction that you find of him talking to the public where he's on the camera. He's very careful about what he says. So if he knew he was being recorded, if he was, the abuser in the relationship, if he was actually abusing Amber Heard, I feel like he would be more careful on what words he used and how he phrased certain things. So that just puts more credibility in his side, that, a lot of the stuff is just coming from Amber Heard. And if it comes up to where he did some kind of abuse towards Amber Heard, I will eat crow, and I will say that I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I mean, there's been, since all of this has started, there has not been one person that has came out and credibly stated that he abused them or he was violent towards them. In some of the other text messages that is released, it talks about how he's, hasn't ate for days. He's, doing drugs, powder, pills. So, I mean, this is a guy, not saying that he doesn't have any issues that he needs to work out, because apparently it appears as if he does. No, I'm not degrading Johnny Depp. I'm not knocking Johnny Depp by any stretch of the means. But just looking at some of the text messages that are floating around the internet here lately, he does have some things that he's struggling with, and I hope and pray that he finds the help he needs and he gets that peace. But an abuser, I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. I would love to hear what you guys have to say about some of this stuff that's been going on. I know my last video, I've gotten a lot of comments, and I appreciate each and every one of you commenting. I do enjoy hearing what you have to say. I got this one young lady, Belinda Watson, talking about Warner Brothers dropping Amber Heard. She commented on my last video and said, they have standards, right? They're supposed to. That's why they dropped Johnny at the drop of a hat, because he was an alleged abuser. Amber is a proven abuser, so she needs to be dropped yesterday. Not today, not tomorrow, yesterday. Really, she needs to be gone like a couple weeks ago. Because it's funny how they were ready to release Johnny Depp from Fantastic Beasts at the drop of a hat once that article was released from Amber Heard. But once the audio tapes came up where Amber Heard admitted to being the abuser, hey, it's just crickets. And it's really sickening how the internet, the tabloids, the media, news, nobody is saying anything about this. The only thing that they say, the only thing that they have been saying is about these text messages that were just recently released that paints Johnny in such a bad light. But at the end of the day, it doesn't prove that he abused her. It doesn't prove anything. It just proves that he was in a dark moment, and I really wouldn't even say a dark moment. He might have been angry. He was upset. He was frustrated, and he needed someone to talk to. So who are you going to talk to in a situation like that? You're going to talk to your buddy, and there's no telling what you're going to say. If you're just venting out, in a fit of rage, you're just venting out text messages to your buddy. There's no telling what you're going to say. So, I don't know. The courts, they may think they had something with this. I don't think they have anything because it doesn't prove anything. All it proves was he was upset. Big freaking whoop. But I hope that everything comes out positively for old Johnny Depp. It would be very nice if they removed Amber Heard from Aquaman 2. If they don't, they don't. That's their right. And it is our right to show them how we feel about that decision. So if they don't remove Amber Heard, we just won't go see Aquaman 2. And as I said before, I really wasn't that partial of the first one. I mean, Jason Momoa was pretty cool in the movie. I liked him, but that was pretty much it. I didn't really care about much else of the movie. And I feel like Jason Momoa and I feel like James Wan, I got it right that time. I feel like they should have said something by now, make some kind of statement. But then again, under Warner Brothers, they're probably instructed not to. So who really knows? It's really petty how Hollywood can make such a big instance over one set of standards, with Amber Heard being the abused by Johnny Depp. But now that it's flip side of the coin, we don't hear anything from Johnny Depp being abused. And it just solidifies my thought. It just solidifies my way of thinking that Hollywood, Warner Brothers, and I don't really think it's fair to single out Warner Brothers. I mean, they are the main studio in this situation, but I don't feel like it's fair to just single them out, because I think this is a much more systemic issue within Hollywood in general, to where they just do not care about domestic violence. They do not care about domestic abuse. They don't care. For all we know, they probably don't even care about sexual harassment or sexual assault, because all you hear about are claims from women being sexually assaulted, women being domestically abused, but whenever the tables get turned, and then we see that when the man is the victim, you don't hear anything about it. 1 in 3 men are the subject of domestic violence. And again, domestic violence, domestic abuse, it comes in different forms than just physical violence. I mean, you have manipulation, you have separation, it's just emotional abuse. There's a string of ways that men are abused, as well as women. I'm not taking anything away from that. But just for this topic, with Johnny Depp being abused, I mean, it's just, you don't really know until you know, and then sometimes it's just too late. But I don't think it'll be too late for Johnny Depp. I think he'll be fine. I think with everything coming out on him, with everything being revealed about Amber Heard, I feel like he'll come out on top on this. I'm certainly hoping so. But time will tell. We'll see what happens. But, in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, just take care of each other. It's really not that hard of an issue. It's really not that difficult to do. We just look out for each other. We take care of each other. If we know that a buddy of ours is being abused, we do something. Whether it's a man, whether it's a boy, a woman, or a female, or a girl, it doesn't matter. We take care of each other. We look out for each other. We just love each other. And I know it sounds real kumbaya and campfire song type of nonsense, but it's true, And I'm not I don't want to get political or anything. I'm not tenderhearted. I'm not any of that stuff. I just feel like there's a certain way that we should treat each other, and that is with a level of respect, honor, and dignity that we show each other. It doesn't matter if we know them. It doesn't matter if we like them. They're a human being, and they should be treated as such. No matter their differences, no matter what walks of life they come from, no matter what their background, their cultural, where they live. It doesn't matter. And I'm not one to think that everything can be solved by hugs and love and all that stuff, because I don't live in that world, but I do believe that there is a point where every human being should be treated with some honor, some level of honor and respect and dignity. So that's gonna be it for this video. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. Comment down below. Let me hear from you about everything that's going on with this Amber Heard and Johnny Depp nonsense. That's exactly what I feel it is. It's nonsense, and it shouldn't really have gotten this far. I don't think some of this stuff should have reached social media. I understand why it did, because Johnny Depp was being painted to be the abuser, and there was some kind of, there was some level of retribution that he needed to seek to kind of clear his name, so to speak. But I feel like this is a private matter. It should be kept in a private matter. But it's out in the public now. It is what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. And I guess until next week, ladies and gentlemen, as I said, take care of each other.